In this video, we're going to continue looking at how we calculate simple interest. Now, sometimes we don't just want to know the amount of interest in the account. Sometimes we want to know the total amount in the account when it's a simple interest scenario. And so that formula is actually based on the simple interest formula. So we're going to start with A. A represents the future value, or in other words, the total amount in the account, including the principal and interest. So the way we actually get that is we take the principal, we take the starting amount, and we add on the amount of interest that was earned. Now remember from the first video, interest is calculated as the principal times the rate times the time. So if we replace interest with principal times rate times time, we end up with A equals P plus PRT. And if we decide that we want to apply a little bit of factoring, we can factor a P out of that, and we will end up with the version of the formula A equals P times the quantity 1 plus RT. Again, P is the principal, R interest rate as a decimal, T time in years. And there are scenarios where you can use this formula, or you can use the I equals PRT simple interest formula. We will be talking about both of those in this video. So to continue, for our first example, suppose $800 is invested at 2% simple interest. How much is in the account after 5 years? So again, I'm going to work this problem two different ways. Okay, so method number one, I am going to use the A equals P times 1 plus RT formula, the one that was just introduced. So if we have $800 that is invested, that is our principal, 2% is our interest rate, and then how much is in the account after 5 years? 5 years is our time. And then when it says how much is in the account, that is A. How much is in the account? That's A, the future value. So we're looking for A. We know our principal is 800. Our interest rate written as a decimal, 0.02 times 5 years. Order of operations would say, take care of what's in the parentheses first. So 1 plus 0.02 times 5 is 1.1. And then when we multiply that together, we get a total in the account, or a future value, if you will, of $880. The other way that you can solve this same problem is to use interest as principal times rate times time. And so what you would do first is you would calculate the amount of interest only that was earned in the account by taking the principal times the interest rate times the number of years and multiplying that together. You would find out that the total amount of interest earned is $80. Then to get the future value, which is the total in the account, denoted A, we would take the principal plus the interest, which is our $800 that we started with, plus the $80 we earned in interest, for a total of $880. The method that you use is not important. What is important is that you understand the method that you choose. And again, if you decide to use method 2, which honestly is my preferred method because I'd rather just multiply P, R, and T, you just need to make sure you add then the principal to the total, and so that you're not just saying, well, I have $80 in the account. Hopefully 5 years later, your money has grown. You don't go from 800 to 80. So just remember to add on that amount. All right, so let's take a look at another example. Kevin takes out a simple interest loan at 3.9% interest for 24 months. He pays back a total of $964.81. How much money did Kevin borrow? So again, when it says he paid back a total of, this total amount that is here, he paid back a total, this is that future value, okay? When you pay back a loan, you have to pay back the principal, the amount you borrowed, plus the interest. So the total amount or the future value. So that's A. 3.9% is our interest rate. 24 months is our time, but we do want to be sure, again, that we note time needs to be calculated in years. Our question is, how much did Kevin borrow? In other words, what is that starting amount? What is the value of P? Now, in this case, I don't know how much is just interest. And so we do need to use the formula A is P times 1 plus RT. We don't have a choice because we don't know interest and interest only. But again, filling in what we know, $964.81 is the future value or the total he paid back. We would like to find P, the principal. We know the interest rate is 3.9%, so we'll write that in decimal form. And 24 months, remember, we don't want to put 24 for T, we want 24 months, so 24 over 12. Again, if you'd like to make that a 2, that's fine because there's no rounding that is being done in that particular instance. So order of operations will tell us to calculate the value in parentheses, 1.078. And then to solve for P, we will want to divide both sides of the equation by 1.078. So when we do that, 964.81 divided by 1.078, I get 895. And so that was the starting amount of his loan. That was what Kevin borrowed. By the way, if you were then asked how much interest did he pay, the interest that he paid would be found by taking the $964.81 that he paid back and subtracting the $895 that he borrowed. So if, again, that was part of the problem, and oftentimes it is, you would find out that his interest and just interest was the $69.81. So again, keep that in mind. That's something that will be asked of you often, to find both amounts, the future value and the amount of interest. All right, and so our final example in this video is going to look at Shay. Shay has deposited $4,000 in a simple interest account. 9 years later, the account had $5,944 in it. What was the interest rate? So again, we deposit $4,000, that is P. 9 years later, there's T. The account had $5,944 in it. That is A, the future value, total in the account, including her principal. And then we want to find the interest rate. We're looking for R. So again, there are two different approaches you can take for this problem. So for some of you, you're going to look at this right away and say, well, I know the total in the account, therefore I should be using A is P times 1 plus RT. And that's a perfectly acceptable way to solve this problem. Substituting in the numbers we know, will get us here, okay? Then from there, most people will look at this. We cannot simplify what is in the parentheses, okay? That is not possible. We cannot simplify what is in the parentheses because what is in the parentheses cannot be combined into, those are not like terms, okay? So what we can do is use the distributive property to multiply 4,000 by 1 and then multiply 4,000 by R times 9. So doing that, 4,000 times 1 is 4,000. 4,000 times 9R is 36,000R. Since we want to solve by R, the first thing we want to do is move that 4,000 over to the other side. We will do that with subtraction. And then to get to R, we need to divide by 36,000. So 1944 divided by 36,000 is 0.054. And again, that is the decimal version. When you switch that to percent form, that is 5.4% as the interest rate. Okay. Similarly, we could solve the problem this way. Because we know the future value, and because we know the principal, we can subtract those to come up with interest. The future value, $5,944, minus the principal, $4,000, all that extra money is the interest that was earned. That's the value of I. And so another way you could also look at this problem is you can use I equals PRT. Principal, 4,000. We're solving for R, and time is 9 years. Multiplying the 4,000 and the 9 together, we will get 36,000 R. And if you notice now, these two equations look exactly alike. We are in the exact same spot that we were before, just using a different version or a different method, if you will, for solving the problem. And so we'll get 0.054 or 5.4% is the interest rate. Again, there isn't a right or a wrong approach to this. However, for some people, the second method will be algebraically a more simple one. Okay, that equation, I equals PRT, solving that looks a little bit less intimidating for some people than this version of the equation over here. But notice you get to the same result. The only difference is to work method 2, you need to realize that you can calculate the amount of interest based on the problem and what the information is that is given to you.